Why aren't your headphones on? Why aren't your headphones on, Todd? You're not ready to go, Todd.
Yeah, I am. I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
Todd's ready to go. It's episode 121.
Ow! Crazy.
Wow. I don't know why the barrier of 120 seems significant.
Did you feel like it was never going to happen?
I think that at some point you and I are going to get to a point where everything is in a routine, and before we know it, we're going to hit 1,000. We're going to be, what the fuck?
I don't know about that. Joe Rogan hasn't hit 1,000, and that guy's prolific.
Right, but he's doing like three
a week.
3 a week.
Yeah.
But he also has other stuff going on, whereas
True.
Hopefully in a year or two, this will be our main. This will be at least my main gig.
Yeah. Oh God, would that be great? I would really like it if this was your main gig.
It'd be kind of fun.
That's all right.
So today is what? What's today's date?
The 22nd?
The 22nd. The Republican National Convention just finished up, and Trump gave an epic speech, the longest speech in history.
At a convention?
Yeah, his acceptance speech.
This is the weird... I feel like I'm in a weird position. See, I have not watched TV for a significant amount of time for at least 9 months. Like, I think the longest thing I've watched is I think I watched a little bit of Wimbledon a few weeks past.
Yeah.
On a whim, I was like, oh, shit, Wimbledon's on. I should go watch it. And then, but I just don't, I'm not watching anything so I'm not watching the news. I might hit NPR once in a while. Otherwise, I am just not listening to it. So I feel like I haven't been inundated with any commercials, any BS like that. So I've been kind of like, oh, this is kind of nice. But then you start talking about things and I go, I don't know anything. It's like, I feel like Nick Rosine. I don't know what you're talking about. So go ahead and have a conversation. I'm not too busy. It's just I'm not watching TV. I'm doing so much other shit.
Right.
With my time, in my free time, I read.
I'm just saying with your free time, you're doing other things than watching TV.
You got it.
So
it's weird.
When I bring up TV type things, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I've been like watching, catching up on like Ray Donovan on Amazon once in a while or something like that.
Yeah,
but I'm just not.
I'm totally up to date on that fucking show.
God damn, the show's good. I love that actor's a fantastic actor. But so there's little things like that I can catch up on. But regular TV, I might have to. It makes me think of. Other podcasts, I'm like, I might have to be, it might be part of my daily routine is just checking maybe 4 or 5 news websites. So I at least have an idea of what's going on, that kind of thing to keep it informed.
There's actually a really neat little app that I noticed on my wife's
Pokemon
tablet.
Go?
No.
Oh, it's a great app.
No, stop it, you. It actually comes on the new tablets, I think. It might even be on the old. It's just news, right? So you click on it. And
it's just called news?
It's just called news. So it wasn't something I had to add. It was just something already on the tablet that I just got. And then it just says, what magazines interest you. So you go
like
through.
That?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
And you just click on all your interests, and then it populates the main stories from those magazines, I believe. So
these are the top stories of all the main websites or news channels kind of thing, or
it was just showing magazine covers.
Okay.
So
that interesting.
Yeah. So I really like that, just to kind of skim through bunch of different things. You're not really pigeonholed into just watching Fox News and you only get Fox News stuff. There's just a huge randomness to it. So then you can go in deeper.
Oh, Vogue.
Right?
They have Vogue on here too.
What's wrong with you? I'm still getting, for whatever reason, Cosmopolitan.
I don't know. I got you a magazine for Christmas, but I don't even remember what it was.
It was Cosmo, probably.
No, it was Outside magazine for gay people. It's outside.
You know what?
It's kidding. It's called Outdoor Living.
All right. So I started to talk about. I brought up Trump's epic, super long fucking speech, right? I didn't watch the whole convention. I've been hearing about this from the news this morning about how epically long it was.
How about people from work? Have you had people at work saying, "Oh, you missed it. It was so fucking great"?
I had yesterday off, so.
Oh, you missed. Okay, gotcha.
So I haven't talked to anybody. No, people, unless I specifically go, so what did you think? There's not too many people that are getting really wrapped up from my work about him.
Is everybody kind of like a little worn out already with all of it, do you think, or no?
From what I don't know. From what I heard, the speech was from what I heard, the speech, it was so long, it encompassed just about everything you could fucking talk about.
Right.
Right. But this is something that I took away from seeing it today, which maybe a few other people did. He was more presidential.
Oh.
He was more presidential.
He seemed more presidential.
Now that's in comparison to what he has been.
Right. And I think it's also, whatever you want to say about Barack Obama or even like Clinton, or Reagan. No, not Bush. Reagan, Clinton, Obama, really incredible speakers. I mean, great orators, as they would call them. They just sound great. Like Dennis Miller always said, George W. Bush was like, every time he gave a speech, it was like somebody watching a drunk on ice. You just knew something horrible was going to happen eventually. And so that's how I think George W. Bush was one of the worst speakers ever as a president. But you compare him to a Reagan for a Republican or Bill Clinton for a Democrat or Obama, they speak so well. And then you see him speak. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me, that watching him through this whole thing, first of all, I thought it was a joke for a long time. I couldn't not take it seriously.
Right.
Because he was a TV celebrity. You're fired, all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. He was always seen as kind of a character, a cartoon figure, sort of.
A caricature.
Yeah, of a person who's this, billionaire, whatever, pushing the little guy around. You hear stories about him kicking some guy off his own property to put a golf course in Scotland, and the guy was painting messages on the sides of his barn so people could see it when they're on his golf course. You just hear about those kind of stories. But now to think that he could run the entire country. I thought the guy had a pretty serious ego before this. He's going to be. He's going to remind me of that guy with the blue head from that cartoon. Megamind. He's going to be. He's going to be Megamind, because he's just going to be like, I can do anything. Look, what can't I do?
Right.
He
was definitely Trump.
Yeah. The speech was.
Yeah, it was definitely. It followed along a lot of the same lines, but there was a couple moments in there where he said, me traveling around the country, I realize what we need, and we need jobs. We need to take care of them. So that was okay.
Was it moderate? Did you feel there were parts that were moderate where I could be like, oh, okay, I can agree with that comment or that statement? Because most of the things I see of him soundbite-wise, I'm going, who is this person? I don't agree with anything.
I think, honestly, if you're not going into the experience with some preconceived notions, there's always something that you can pull away from that, from a speech. And be like, you know what? That's okay.
That's fair.
That's okay. If you go into it thinking, oh, let's hear what the dumbass says today, then you're never going to pull anything out.
That's a very good point.
But you could cherry pick just about any speech, I think. But what I did notice, which I don't know if a lot of people will pick up on or notice, but how presidential his daughter is.
It's just the one with the long blonde hair?
Yes, okay. Who's gorgeous and has 3 kids, and she manages his businesses, right?
Yeah.
She's so well-spoken. She seems so crisp and clean and smart and articulate that I feel like if you were to put her into politics today, mm-hmm. she would be
really good.
She would be she will definitely be the president of the United States someday.
Well, that makes more sense to me, because because just of the way she sounded. That's what you're saying. You're saying because of the way she presented herself, mm-hmm. that seems presidential.
Yeah.
And that's probably his biggest drawback, is people look at him and go, how can this guy be president? He can't even, build a wall, build it higher. They're paying for it.
Right.
All these little things.
He did say that again.
Oh, okay.
He did say that again.
Did you see that somebody put a little wall around his star on Hollywood? He has a star on Hollywood, so somebody put a little 6-inch wall all the way around the star.
Funny.
I thought it was.
That's kind of funny. Trip hazard. That's a trip hazard.
But it got lots of press, so I'm sure people were very aware of it. But.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that his daughter was so well spoken. Not that I'm surprised. She's obviously well educated.
And something my wife said was, you know what? If she would have been doing more speaking for him, if there would have been more sound bites of her speaking on behalf of her dad, she goes, I probably would, it would be more palatable of him as president. When she said, we have more female executives working for us, in comparison to male than any other industry, than any other company. You know, I'm sure every woman's ears perked up like, what? Oh, wait a second. Oh, well, she said that.
Right.
I'm going to listen to her. But if Trump would have said it, there would have been that taint.
Yeah.
Of
you're right.
Braggadocious, that ego. Well, is it true? I don't know if it's true.
I like the ladies. I got them everywhere in my company. I mean, you can all see them like doing something like that.
But coming from her, I didn't even think to go, you know what? I bet that's bullshit.
Right.
I didn't even think to say it. One, because I'm a guy and she's a pretty face.
Right.
But two, she said it in such a crisp, clean, nice, articulate way that I just assumed it as truth. Like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Well, hello.
Isn't it funny though how you have to see something crystal clear to get something from it? Which, I mean, so in other words, you believe her. I think I probably would have believed her if I'd seen her. There's something about him that seems a tad unbelievable.
Well,
and now he's really. I mean, the reason why she was out there speaking, because he has ostracized 50 to 51% of the women in this country. I mean, there's half the world is made up of women, and he has said that they're lesser. And so he is having to get his wife out there to talk, his daughter out there to talk.
I don't know where that's coming from. That the 50 to 51.
I'm just saying the population of the world. Half of us are women. Half the women make up population.
Half the population is women.
Yeah. And so
but you personally just feel like he's alienated women.
I feel like
but
that.
I don't. What
Facebook? I guess Facebook. I've seen.
What did he say
comments
about women? I mean, every guy. Let's be honest. Let's come on.
Let's keep it real.
Every man and woman, if you want to be fucking legit and smart and realistic, everybody will agree that there is a clear difference between men and women. Are men better at everything than women? No. Right. But we are better at some things. And women are better than men at some things. So to make a statement, women, or men are better than this. Men are better at this. There could be a handful of women who are better than men. If I were to go up against Holly Holmes fighting right now, she'd kick my ass. Yeah. For sure. If I trained like a professional MMA guy for years, she'd probably still kick my ass. There are going to be handfuls of people, handfuls of women, or a handful of men that don't follow that general trend.
Right.
But for whatever reason in this country, we've decided to say, well, if there's even one person that's a standout, we need to make them the norm. No, we can just say you're the fucking standout. The norm is this. There's a reason why there are generalities. There's a reason why you go, well, maybe Native Americans can't hold their liquor. Maybe there's a reason why, there's horrible stereotypes.
Right.
But there's a reason why there's a fucking stereotype. There's a lot of people that fall into that category. Is there some that don't? Sure. Absolutely. But that's just humanity, right? Why do we have to get so fucking nervous? Oh my God.
I've lost the thread of what you were saying. So I mean, what is your original point about? So what do you take it back to the Trump?
Well, you were saying he has alienated women because of his remark about women. I was wondering what the remark was.
Yeah, and I was looking for that to see what, because it just says,
because if in general he was saying women were not as good as men for something, then there's possibly some legitimacy to that, right?
Right.
That's where my main point was. Like, generalities, there can be some generalities, and everybody needs to get this fucking little pussy toothpick that's up their ass pulled out and just deal with it. Quit being so fucking sensitive. Everybody's skin is so paper thin. Everybody's little egos are so paper thin.
Right.
Just deal with it.
I think, let's see. The whole thing started with Megyn Kelly on Fox News. They called her a bimbo. and somebody said, reminded him, you've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. And he said that he doesn't have time for total political correctness.
Okay.
You'd like that one.
Yeah, I do.
I like that one a lot.
But let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Was Trump saying, you know what, all women are pigs? Or was he simply saying, that woman, that person right there, is a pig?
Yeah, I think he was referring to a woman as whatever.
A particular person.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'm not for name calling. I'm not pro let me make you feel shitty about yourself.
Right.
But I am pro language that details. Right? And again, this comes back to language, and we're so
Words.
fucking nervous about everything. I have black children. And when I was in the grocery store, and I've given this example before, I was with my children, and I said, "Oh, that's a pretty cool fucking shirt over there. Check that out." And my kids go, "Well, where?" And I go, "See that black guy over there?" And they go, "Dad, that's racist." I'm like, "What the fuck are they teaching you in school?
Right.
That's not racist. That's descriptive. I'm describing somebody to you. I didn't say, hey, the gangster over there."
Right.
"Well, why is he a gangster, Dad?" "Well, clearly he's a gangster because he's black."
Right.
I didn't say that. That would have been racist. But me describing somebody, me going, hey, that short person over there, that fat person over there.
Or that white guy over there.
Or that white guy over there. Or that woman who's shoving shit in her mouth and acting like a pig. Why can't I say that? Why can't I say that person's acting like a pig?
Yeah. Well, I think that might be different in the sense of if he's interacted with women that don't agree with what he says or challenge him on things, he calls them bimbos, pigs. He wasn't saying, "Oh, hey, you're a disgusting pig because you're sitting there eating a sub sandwich in front of me like a horse." He was saying, "Oh, you don't like, well, you're a fat pig. You're this. You're a bimbo. You're a dog. Whatever you want to call it." He's saying, "You don't agree with me, I'm going to call you names."
Mm-hmm.
And
is that the face of a president?
Right.
Is that the? But people, you know what though?
But the paper. But listen, I
people
agree
were
with the paper
saying that
thin
about
part, though.
male presidential candidates. People were saying, "Is that really who Ron Paul? Is that really who you envision?" I mean, nobody said, "Look at Ron Paul's face. Do you really want to see him as president?" No. What they say about male candidates are, "Does he look very presidential to you? Is that really who you want standing up and talking for your government?"
Yeah.
They don't say, look at her face. Look at that dog." Or what did he say? What, horse? Or what did he
called it? Pig, dog, bimbos. People who don't agree with him politically, he's called names.
Okay, but I think there was
Carly Farina.
I think
he's calling all those
specifically
people.
he had said, "Look at her face.
Right.
Do you really want her to be president?"
Yeah.
And
yeah, right.
yes, that can come off as, "Oh my God, that's the most male chauvinistic shitty. What, she has got to be a beauty queen to be president?" Sure, you could take it like that. You could quickly take it like that. Or for half a second, you could stop and think and go, has anything similar ever been said about a male presidential candidate? Yes.
Got one. You want to hear a big one?
Ross Perot.
Kennedy and Nixon. Back in the day when they first did their very first televised debate ever, right? The feedback was horrible for Nixon because JFK was this dashing man.
Yeah,
and
Nixon was sweating,
pale. The lights. I mean, that's why they have like lights in the podium now, so it lights up their face the right way. All that led from that very first televised political thing. So there's looks getting in the way of politics right there.
Right. But to bring it back to what we had talked about earlier with you saying, really, was there anything good you could take from a speech?
Yeah.
Depending on the view, the pair of shoes, the perspective that you're going to take it in at the time that you're going to listen to it, yes, there's going to be some good things always that you can take from something, right? Or you could be jaded. You could be jaded and go, "This guy's an ass."
Walking, assuming
so
already.
So you listen to it with this perception of this guy's an asshole, and everything he says is from an asshole point of view. Right. Oh my God, what a sexist fucking pig. He might be a little sexist, but you know what? Every man is a little sexist. Every man is. Every person is. not necessarily sexist, but every person goes, there's something about me that I can do better than you, right? You play tennis like a baller. There's things about you that you do much better than me. And you just know this. You don't have to hang a sign above your head and make me feel bad about it. But you know this in your head. Do I shame you for feeling good about the characteristics that are great about you, that you know are great about you? No. But we all do that. Men, we individually feel that way about ourselves. We always compare ourselves, is what I'm trying to get to. Okay. We always compare ourselves to others, and we always compare our sex against women. Males have always done it. We've always done it. So I don't know why at this point...
If we've always done it, does it still make it okay?
Yeah. At some point. For some things, yes. Okay. Because we're saying this is human nature. This is absolutely something that we're born with. It's natural. I mean, at what point do we draw the line and we go, you know what? We were born this way. Genetically, we want to do this. But we have to socially cut that shit right out of our DNA. How do we program our brains not to act like human beings? That's what you're saying.
Right.
But when you say it like that, it sounds really shitty. Like if you were to put it into a movie, aliens are coming and we're saying, let's take out greed. Let's reprogram human beings.
Sure.
We're going to take out greed. We're going to take out sex. And we're all going to work in one big harmony.
Right.
And what do we do in movies as human beings? We fight that shit. We fight it with with every last breath of our being, tooth and nail. We will hold on to our humanity because there's one maybe possible beautiful thing about humanity, because that's what makes us human, and we don't want to give up on that, even though these aliens are like, listen, all you do is kill each other. You kill each other, you're greedy fucks.
You ruin the earth.
You ruin the earth. There's all these obvious, horrible things about human beings, and we're going to fix all that. All you're going to do after we're done, you're all going to work together. But you're going to rob us of our humanity. We're going to fight for that. And what do we all do as spectators of that movie? We cheer for the fucking humans who are fighting for the very thing that I'm saying is natural, and you're saying, but shouldn't we evolve?
Or could we change our thinking? You know, and I think part of it for me is, as I've spent a lot of time in therapy, to be honest, multiple therapists, not just one, but
therapist tag team time.
Yes, that's right. So, yeah, it takes more than one to get down to the shit that's going on. But what I started realizing is when you start looking back into your past and you start looking about how you were raised, and I will tie this into what you've been talking about, you realize that there are things that you do without thinking on a daily basis, behaviors that you have that are related directly back to the way you were raised and how you were brought up, that you don't even have control over. So you talk about this idea of human beings just being human beings, and you just don't have some control of those things.
Yeah,
they just naturally are happening. A good one would be for me that I figured out recently is anger. Right? I don't get angry, or I feel like I don't get angry very often. I thought I had this Superman skill of being like, I am a pretty calm, laid-back person, but I thought I had like this extra little bit that allowed me to not be very angry, right? What I've discovered is I'm just like everybody else. I get as angry as everybody else does, but because my examples of how to handle your anger, right? Stepfather being horribly violent, verbally abusive kind of person, that's how I saw anger being that's what I saw anger as. That's right. That, and I don't fucking want to do that. That's scary. I don't like it. So when I get angry, fucking shut down. I get super quiet because I don't know how to handle anger in an appropriate way because I've never been shown how to handle my anger.
Okay.
And so instead of me going, hey, God, I'm really upset about this. I'm pissed because this happened or this happened, but do it in a rational kind of way, I have a hard time doing that. And so shut down, you know? And the lady in my life's going, wow, I thought you were mad at me for like 2 hours. And I was like, why? I was pissed off about this. She was like, you didn't talk to me for like 2 hours. You were in the zone and you were doing something else and you were thinking about stuff. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to not be communicating and letting people know about stuff because I'm shutting down so much,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But if I hadn't discovered that, I couldn't fix it. But I think that we do things on a daily basis that we don't even realize were from a long time ago, that are ingrained in who we are as people.
Right.
You know, but once we become aware of it, I think it's, you know, behooving to us to change it. You know, so if I see something that doesn't work or I don't like, or I think is inappropriate, I want to make an effort to change it. I don't want to get into mincing words, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm saying, I'm making excuses. I'm going to say, you know what? Oh, hey, I'm just a human being. This is what human beings do, so I can be whatever, because that's who we are. And I think that if we're going to be better as we kind of, I want to become a better person always. And so if I'm going to say, okay, so if I'm used to calling, you know, women bitches my whole life because I've grown up in a male-dominated society, or I don't have any women around me, or I'm surrounded by rap music all the time and all they do is talk like that. And so all of a sudden somebody goes, hey, that's not okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is my world. I grew up with this. I've done this my whole life. Don't tell me how I can address other people. This is who I am. I can use that as a reasoning for that. But once somebody goes, hey, listen, you might want to not call everybody that, because not all people.
Okay.
You know.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Somebody from Britain comes over
and calls me a cunt.
And goes, hey, you got to be in a cunt. Well, that was kind of Irish, Scottish, something, right?
Irish
it
pirate,
doesn't really matter.
Irish pirate.
But we instantly accept, and our levels go down in hostility when we look at somebody who says something who's not in our normal social atmosphere.
Okay.
And we go, oh, I don't instinctively feel like, hey, I know you just said that all these people are cunts. I know you're from somewhere else, but we don't say cunt here.
See, I can accept that.
Nobody does that.
I can accept a foreigner say it.
Why?
Yeah, it's so weird. But when Joe Rogan says it, or you say it, there's part of me that goes, But with a British guy, or I hear them on TV and they say stuff like that, I accept it. And so I don't know why that's the difference. You're right.
I am not trying to say I am holier than thou.
No.
You know, I'm not trying to say that I know more than everybody else. I'm not. What I notice is we have more problems today with social shit because we're never going to be the route that we're taking, the direction that we're going with this. Hey, let's accept everybody. Okay, I don't want to be called queer anymore. I want to be called this, and I don't want to be called transgendered. I don't want to be called he. I want to be called she. I don't want to be called she. I want to be called Z. I want to be called Zer. I want to be called this. Can you please be accepting? All right. Once we start dividing all of ourselves into these tiny little groups or large groups, doesn't fucking matter. As soon as we start labeling each other and putting ourselves into groups because this is how I want to be identified. I want to have a fucking zebra as my person. That's how I want to be identified, as a zebra on my license. And I should be able to sue you if you don't refer to me in the proper identifier, which some fucking law just got passed or was trying to get passed in New York. Right, where you could sue retailers for not addressing you the way that you want to be addressed. All of this stuff sounds super fucking liberal, super fucking accepting, super fucking sweet and caring. And can't we become evolved? And it's creating a hailstorm of fucking separation and anger and resentment. And once you start putting labels on everybody, then everybody is separate from the whole. We are human beings. Let's just go back to that. I'm going to try not to judge you. You don't act like a fucking crazy person, okay? If I were to just simply say, hey, Todd, you might not want to cut your fucking finger off. Well, I identify myself as having 9 fingers. Okay, but that's mutilation, pal. I know, but you just don't feel what I feel. I get that, but at this point, you're cutting yourself. If you were to simply come across somebody who was cutting themselves or wanted to chop their arm off because that's how they wanted to identify, they just thought their left arm was gross, you would probably say, I think you have a mental issue, right? There's a problem with you. But we don't do that anymore. That line of, I think you have issues. I think you have a mental I think you have a mental problem. I think you need to talk to somebody. I think that you are really super depressed. However you were raised, whatever our social influences are on you today has broken you. And you don't know what the fuck you are. You think you're a goddamn zebra? Really? I got to call you a fucking zebra? I got to put zebra on your license, driver's license, because that's how you self-identify? You think you're a fucking fox? Really? Because 20 years ago, you would have been called mentally fucking insane. You know what you are? You're a man. You're a human being, and you're a man. Or you're a woman. Okay, you don't have boobs anymore, or you don't have a penis anymore, and you put breast implants in, and you've tucked your cock inside so you have a fake vagina. You're not a woman. You want me to call you a woman. Society and everybody who wants me to be accepting wants me to call you a woman, but it's a huge fucking lie. You, genetically, biologically, are a man. Period. Done. But people want to push this type of lie on everybody else. They want to say, this is my opinion. You have to have this opinion, Todd. That's not factual. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's factual. You have to have this opinion. You have to identify. You have to call me a her. You're not a her. But that's not what I want to be called. I'm not a him. I want to be called a her. We are really becoming divided. And when you divide yourselves up, all of a sudden you're like, us versus them. Yeah. And there's no fucking way, none, to bring people back together as long as there's these categories. So as soon as you want to give up the example, we talked about this months and months and months ago of, I don't know the details. It was somebody had gotten hurt or killed, and you said, and the details are slightly off, but what you said was, this gay painter, this progressively left-leaning gay painter or writer was killed. That's terrible. Shut the fuck up, Todd. You know what you should have said? You know what we all should be saying and thinking? This amazing writer was killed. I don't need to know. I don't want to know. And as soon as you say who they're fucking and why they're fucking who, you've separated them. You've put them in a different category. And now it's me who doesn't identify with that or him or her.
What if they were killed or discriminated against because they were gay? I mean, what if they were killed because they were gay? Is that okay to recognize that's why they were killed?
But yeah.
That's why they were killed.
Afterwards, you can say it was a hate crime. They were killed because they were gay. But to constantly shove in people's faces this super progressive, left-wing, it's leaning establishment gay writer. Listen, all of that other shit, I don't need to know.
All the other labels.
All these labels, I don't need to know. It shouldn't be significant. But because we continue to make them significant, we're going to continue to divide people. We're going to continue to divide humanity. And we're going to continue to hate, resent, and have issues.
Do you ever feel like Don Quixote? Like you're fighting the windmill? Because you see the...
Fighting the windmill?
Yeah.
There's a story about him fighting the windmill?
That's the whole story of Don Quixote, is he thought they were dragons, but they were really windmills.
Oh, I guess I've never
and so,
read Don Quixote.
But the idea of that, though, is he saw the world as he wanted to see it, not as it really was.
Do I ever feel like the world...
Do you really feel like Don
Quixote? The world...
You're talking about a world...
That you don't see?
No, that I see, but I think you're thinking of a society that we don't have.
No. Yeah, we don't have that.
We don't have that at all. I mean,
we have anger and resentment, and we have labels. And I'm saying...
And you're feeling if we took off all the labels from everybody, and we all saw each other as human beings and not as these separate groups, we would all get along better.
I'm saying the route that we're taking, and the route that we're taking is people are dividing themselves even more.
Okay.
And they're saying, I want a new label put on me.
Didn't it start? Do you feel like it's? I mean, that's almost like. Let's go back. Let's keep on going back further and further in United States history. So it started out with Native Americans and us taking their land, the very beginning of the 13 colonies. So we had to label them as heathens or lesser than us, vermin, that kind of thing, so that we had more of an acceptance to kill them and take their property, right? We called slaves savage, bringing slaves over to treat human beings like that. We had to call them niggers. We had to call them, all those other names. We had to give them those labels. And so do you feel like, I almost feel like we've been divided for a really long time, so it's switched. It's like it's switched over to another way of almost language where these things are bad, how we said them before. So now we're going to go all the way to the opposite and be the progressive, crazy, liberal, accepting of everything, because we know that we start labeling people and they become lesser than us, and we can treat them however we want to treat them. And so if I identify as gay, I'm labeled.
You identify as gay?
Let's say if I was gay, if I saw myself as a gay person, and then people saw me.
Okay, let's just say it. So you like men. I'm just saying if you liked men.
So I liked men.
Okay, if you liked men, what? What are you saying?
So being called gay, I don't mind. I guess people that I know who are gay don't mind being called gay and having that label. They like men, So but they don't see it as this marker. But if somebody were to treat them badly because they were gay, does that have an impact at all?
What's weird is that we want our cake.
I'm just walking through this in my own head.
To me, it's odd because we want our cake and eat it too. Like, you look at celebrities. And if you were to be like, hey, lesbo, to Ellen DeGeneres, if you were to be like, hey, lesbian, how are you? That would be fucking ridiculous or retardedly stupid, right? It'd be really rude. But is she going to get an award for being the top lesbian in her field? Yeah, maybe. We have ridiculous rewards, ceremonies, trophies, accolades put on people
for being a certain way.
You're an awesome person who is gay. Why don't you just get an award for being an awesome fucking person? That's what we have no problems receiving awards for that label. I'm giving God, the Kardashians who fucked up that guy.
You're still convinced of that. Caitlyn Jenner.
Okay, so Bruce, if he legally changed his name to Caitlyn, I'll fucking call him Caitlyn.
He did. He's legally Caitlyn. Yeah. So when
Caitlyn Jenner, when you
become Lucy, I'm gonna call you Lucy.
Yeah, the man, Caitlyn Jenner. When they gave him an award for what? For Woman of the Year?
SB. It was an SB, I think, and it was
for bravery. You're brave.
Oh, that was for bravery. Okay, I don't know. I only heard about the SB
brave,
one. Okay.
Right?
I'm not sure.
And then he was on the cover of some magazine for Woman of the Year. Okay? It's an award. It's an accolade. It's a...
Right.
Okay. Seriously?
So he's Woman of the Year.
Really? Come on. That's the biggest lie in the world. You put on a costume. If I put on the costume of a dragon, are you going to give me an award? Like, you are the best dragon. Seriously, I want everybody to call me a dragon. It's a costume. Biologically, what are you, Shane? Are you a fire-breathing dragon, or are you a man?
How about the idea of
let's play dress up?
No, how about the idea of people identifying, and this is this is 1% of 1% of the population of the United States.
But it has overwhelmed our media and in our faces constantly. We have to talk about it, right?
I agree with that. I'm just saying, what if you have people who truly identify or truly feel like, I am a man in a woman's body. I feel like two separate human beings. In either way. I'm a woman in a man's body. I'm a man in a woman's body. And they identify that from a very young age. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they resist it for a long time. Supposedly, Bruce, Caitlyn Jenner did the same thing. Identified very early that way, but it was so societally unacceptable that he fought that. if you have people who really identify and say, hey, I identify as a woman and I want to be a woman. You can see that I was a man and call me a man. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I really feel like a woman, and that's who I want to be. So I think your bigger point, and the thing you're having an issue with, is us being forced to call them a woman or call them a man. And if we're not, we're assholes. We're bigots. That's the part that you.
That is only a small portion of my outrage.
Okay.
The portion of my outrage, the major thing, comes from this idea of there is a group of people who is shaming others who don't identify, right?
So if you don't call me what I want, you're the asshole.
Correct. Okay. Right? And they are forcing more labels. They're creating and they're forcing more division. My outrage and anger is towards the people that create more labels, because my feeling is, the more labels we have, the more division we have, the more hatred we have, the more anger we have. We have more, we don't want those people crossing our borders. Aren't they people? Really? Are we really better than that?
So what you're trying to say...
Isn't that person a person? And isn't that reporter just a great reporter? Who gives a fuck if he sucks cock? I don't care if that woman licks clits. Who cares? That does not make them special. What they do sexually does not make them special to me. What makes them special is how they interact with other human beings. Which makes them special is what amazing talent do they have? Are they an amazing opera singer? Can they throw down some fat beats? Do they have an eye for design and architecture or creativity with electronics and computers? That's what makes you fucking special, not how you suck cock. Or whose cock you suck. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it.
And because we throw this as a super important aspect of life in everyone's face. And when people rebel against that and go, oh God, I'm really tired of having to look at this person constantly. Not only why can't I just look at that person and go, wow, Ellen is a great talk show host. She's super funny. I really enjoy her. She is caring about people, and I love what she does for the world. Great. But I can't. Why? Because people are constantly shoving these two labels together. Not Ellen DeGeneres, but Ellen DeGeneres, the lesbian. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Do you feel like it's an overreaction? Do you feel like people are being discriminated against for whatever people saw them as wrong, what was wrong with them, whether it was the color of the skin or their sexuality, and so this is an overreaction? It's like, we need to protect these people. They're being discriminated against, being treated poorly because they are gay. So like you said before, let's just, hey, if you want to tell me that this guy got killed because he was gay, that's different than you describing him as a gay reporter or whatever it was. So, I think that's where the reaction has come from, and I'm totally agreeing with you that it's an overreaction, that I think it started out as a protection. Let's, society, we're not going to call people the N-word anymore. Mm-hmm. We're not going to call people gay or fags or whatever anymore, because it's just not okay to call somebody that, because it's rude, like you said. Right. So I wonder if some of these things came as protections to help people. Mm-hmm. But now it's just gone too far. It's gone too far where you feel like I have to. If I don't start calling you Z, then I'm the asshole. But I don't.
Not only are you an asshole, but people are trying to pass laws to where you could be sued, financially fucked over,
for not calling somebody.
If you don't identify somebody the way they wish to be identified, which is fucking ridiculous.
Which goes back to the idea of Ellen's an incredible person.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that Ellen is an incredible gay person.
How does a retailer, how does somebody in a store, when you walk into a store, what do they normally say? Hi, can I help you? Hello, sir. Can I help you? Hello, ma'am. How's your day going? One, it's nice for somebody to be like, yes, sir. No, ma'am. Right? They teach that. That's big down in the South.
Yeah.
So how do I know how you identify your ridiculous self if I go, hello, sir, how's your day going today? I'm just trying to be polite. Really? I'm a Zer. Okay? And if you don't fucking call me Zer, I'm going to fucking sue you.
Do you think that really happens?
The ridiculousness of what is happening and what we're accepting nowadays is beyond compare. You have, if I really wanted to put this together, here's a picture. This in my mind. I had this. Here's a picture of a woman who was raped back in the day, right? And in my mind, it's a woman who fought back, hair's all fucked up, dress is torn, she's hurt. You can easily see she was abused. Today, an image of a woman who's raped on college campuses is somebody who's walking around with a big smile on her face, on her fucking phone, no signs of abuse, and she just regretted it the next day, so she's going to ruin somebody's life.
But that's one person, though, right?
That is the trend that is getting pushed on college campuses, especially out in California.
That what's being pushed? That what?
That if you resent it or if
you regret it the next day.
If a man and a woman both have drinks and they have sex, the man raped her. The woman didn't rape the man. They both were consenting adults. They both texted each other saying they were going to get it on. The girl even told the roommate that she's going to probably get it on. The girl and the roommate said, make sure you bring condoms.
Don't you think it's really important to identify that if that's one specific case? I don't think the majority is like that.
What I think, we might have to cut it short for today on the Primal Scream.
We can always come back.
Yeah, we can come back. But I think that it is, I think it's a trend. And I think it's something that we need to be aware of, and it's a slippery slope. And when we start taking cases like that, when we start legitimizing the fact that, oh, it's rape, the next day, you know what? I kind of regret that. Really? If you regret it, then you should go to your counselor. You should go to the school board and get that guy kicked out of school. That's the type of thing. Suing somebody for not being identified, claiming rape after the fact. You know, rape used to be, get the fuck off me, I'm going to fight for my life, and somebody just beat the shit out of me and rape me. Now it's, sure, let's have sex. You know what? Shouldn't have done that. I think you raped me.
Well, again, I think you should preface it with, most of the time it's not like that, though.
Okay. But see how you're looking at what I'm saying, and you're going, you know what? Most of the time you should be doing
that case in particular, I totally agree with you, and I've heard that before, and I've read about that. Right. So I totally get that.
But the way that when I'm saying these examples, and you're going, you know what? That's a select few.
Right.
When you give examples about things that you are passionate about, remember, it might be a select few, but where is the trend taking us? When you look down the road, when you look at the trend 10 years ago to today socially, where is it going to be 10 years from now socially? 10 years ago, did you ever think that somebody was going to say, can I please have Fox put as an identifier on a driver's license?
You keep saying animals. Is somebody doing that?
Yeah.
Is somebody saying they want to be identified as a fox or a zebra?
Yes. Legitimately, yes.
Really?
Yes.
I like cats.
Okay. You know what? we'll come back. We'll come back to this.
All right.
All right. So we're back. And what? How did we
anybody
leave off?
Will anybody ever really know we were gone?
Probably, maybe not. Maybe because now I have a fresh cup of coffee.
Nice monkey head you have on there.
Yes. TPS Media, baby.
Well, we ended kind of talking about the way people being divided and put into groups.
Right.
Self-defined groups. And that's kind of a bigger.
I'm
that's
not
kind of
defining you. You're defining you.
Right. You're self-defining kind of, and then saying, "Hey, fucker, this is how I want you to look at me."
Right.
Now,
I want people to feel good about themselves. I want people to feel not teased. I want people to feel like people. I think in a way we create drama where there's not drama. The television show Bravo doesn't help this. It doesn't help this trend. The way we entertain ourselves doesn't help us with not putting drama in situations where there is no drama. Our lives are really pretty boring. And because they're boring and because they're safe and because people are making money, people create drama. I mean, people, almost everybody, almost. I mean, obviously, I'm talking about a mass majority, but there are, of course, people who don't have it. But almost everybody has a fucking computer on them at any given time. At any given time, I don't really truly know if that's awesome. You should chug coffee more often in the mic. But I don't know truly if we as a human, as an animal, as a creation upon this earth, however we were created, we are a biological system that has limitations, right? If you put me out in the sun, or if you put me in a bright room and you never fucking shut the lights off and it was super, super bright, or you put loud music in my ears round the clock, 24/7, eventually I would freak the fuck out.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe we weren't supposed to have a handle on every fucking event that happens everywhere in the world.
I think that is absolutely
and we
a truth.
are freaking the fuck out.
Because and if you talk about stress, is the number one killer of most people now. Because stress induces all these other things that are horrible for your body. And
isn't it funny that stress is a completely non-physical thing? It's not a nutrient. It's not something you're putting in your mouth. It's not something you're drinking. It's not something that is hitting you. It is a mental thing. And
it's your reptile brain. We no longer have saber-toothed tigers we have to worry about.
Right.
We don't have to worry about around every corner something's happening. And so it's almost like we're generating the things that we need to have to react to, because we don't have those things to react to anymore. So we have to find stuff. I think that's why they say pushing yourself, lifting weights, CrossFit, jiu-jitsu, whatever it is that stresses you out physically and allows you to be, because you very much are in a Zen kind of place when you're doing those activities, because you have to be very self-aware at that moment to do them safely. So I think you become very much into yourself at that moment, focused, and you're stressing your body out, and you're taking away some of that you have to have. If you just sit around and watch TV, and your body is not getting any of the interaction that it needs, and if the only interaction you're getting is this buzzing thing in your eyes, a TV or a nice smartphone, I think you're bound to have more issues just solely because you are not getting the things you need, let alone vitamin D from the sunlight and everything else, right? We're not in a position anymore to be stressed by animals being attacked. Because the other day I thought about this. What if I walked outside?
So you're saying stress is a good thing, because I want.
Natural stress.
Really, honestly, try to remember where you're at, because I want to make this small point, and then I want you to go back to what you were saying. Okay. I really, truly war with this idea of bullying.
Right. It's a constant war you've had on this podcast.
Right. Well, we've placed a word on a stressful environment. We've put a word on an interaction, an uncomfortable interaction. And if you talk to any, and I mean any and all successful people, they are only successful because they dealt with an uncomfortable situation, learned how to deal with it, and moved on. We are constantly on another show. I am on another show, constantly talking to people who have overcome obstacles, stresses, environments that were not comfortable to be in, moved past it, and became amazing people.
Right.
Right?
Do you think that I could be?
If you remove those uncomfortable situations, if you've never had to deal with those uncomfortable situations, which is life, it is life.
Right.
And we're trying to bulldoze. We're trying to be bulldozer parents to the world.
It makes me feel like, though, would I be a different person? Would I interact in the world differently if I had not been bullied? And I would think that maybe I would be different, but I don't think I would be so fundamental. I wouldn't be fundamentally different than who I am now. I certainly would have enjoyed school a lot more. I probably would have had more friends. I probably would have been a little bit more outgoing. Those kind of things would be different. I think it's a little bit of a misnomer to say that I have to go through a shitty educational experience to grow and be able to see how I can work through things. I definitely think that
but see,
it taught me something.
You're putting another label on something that is, or maybe should be plainly viewed as an uncomfortable situation. An uncomfortable situation happened. Did you learn how to deal with it? And at first you couldn't, and you were scared or shy or whatever. And now that if you didn't have something like that, could you have moved past it?
I don't know, because I know looking back now as an adult that it wasn't enjoyable.
Of course it's not. It's uncomfortable.
No, but like a majority of my educational experience was not. No, that's not fair. That a good chunk of my educational experience was not comfortable because I was constantly
memorable moments.
Yeah, lots, lots.
Sure.
But the thing is I wasn't bullied every day, obviously, but I knew that bully was around. I knew he was watching me. I knew people were watching to see what happened to me. And so even if it happened on a Monday and didn't happen all week long, I spent the entire week going, fuck, when's this going to happen again? Who's this guy? And I didn't get any help for that. And nobody stepped in and said, hey, this is inappropriate. Don't act like that.
Yeah.
I never had anybody step. So it wasn't just one bullying incident that caused issues.
Right.
It became a constant sick to my stomach. What the fuck is going to happen next?
Yeah.
Kind of thing all the time. And I don't think that I had to go through that bullying to know how to handle myself or how to handle stressful situations, because I had plenty of shit happening in my life that was pushing me to know how to handle situations. I didn't need to add any more to it at the time, but that's life, and things can get heavy at different times too. I just think that if we can lessen the pain that's involved in bullying in school, that's going to help people be better educated. I hated school because of that.
Well, I hated school because it was rules, and it was an archaic system that I looked at and said, how am I going to ever use this in real life? Right. Am I really ever going to use this daily? But I disagree. Okay. I think we're getting too hung up on the word bullying, right? I think we're getting too hung up on that. I think we put too much passion on a subject with a title. If we were to simply say, are you getting uncomfortable situations? Are uncomfortable situations happening to you? How are you dealing with that? Are we teaching? See, this is where I think we are cutting off our nose to spite our face. I think that we are trying to fix things for people so that uncomfortable situations never occur. And how can you grow and change and learn to deal with things if you are trying to bulldoze all uncomfortable situations out of the way?
That's not me. It's somebody else who's doing something.
It's a Facebook.
Okay.
Our computer Facebook thing keeps
I'll
popping.
turn it off.
Are you Facebooking people now?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to find information. No, anyway, I'm not Facebooking. I promise. Okay, I'm not Facebooking.
Yeah. I don't want my kids. I mean, I have a heart. It's not like I'm a cold bastard. I was bullied in school, and I was also a bully in school. Okay? You also learn things on the other side of bullying, right? One, when I was bullied, I learned how to stick up for myself. At some point, you have to say, enough's enough. Now, is somebody just saying rude shit to me? And if somebody's being rude and stupid to me, then I have to look at it and go, am I really this that he's saying to me? When this person walks by and goes, fag, and is trying to hurt me, trying to hurt my feelings, is that truly me? No. He's an idiot. And I have to just move on. I have to learn how to deal with stupid shit like that. At the same time, on the other side of bullying, it did take me a while, right? Because the specific situations that I really, truly regret looking back as an adolescent. And again, adolescence, do you know what the fuck's going on in your brain? Are you really, truly thinking clearly as an adolescent? We can come back to that later. But on the other side of bullying, you also learn a lot too. As I got older, when I came back from the military, when you have time, this is one of the best things about the military, for me anyway. You had to go for long road marches, right? And it forces you to be quiet. it forces you to have conversations with yourself in your head, because if you say anything to anybody else, you're going to get yelled at by the drill sergeant or your platoon leader or your platoon, well, probably not your platoon leader because he's...
And they'll smoke you.
Well, you get yelled at. You don't want to get yelled at, right? So very early on, like in basic training, this was profound for me, which was there are no other distractions. I'm walking alongside a fucking road with trees on either side of me. There's nothing to really pay attention to besides deal with my shit in my head. Have conversations. Think about who was I in high school? The relationships I had. How did I treat my girlfriend? How much of an asshole was I to her, to other girls that I slept with or I cheated on or whatever? It took me back to moments that I hadn't thought about in years where I might have started bullying a kid, and then it created a mob mentality for others, and pretty soon that kid that we were bullying is on top of a fucking concession stand next to a football field, and the entire football team is throwing rocks at that kid. We were essentially stoning this fucking kid. Stoning him. And I'm not fucking kidding. I'm not elaborating. I'm not making a mountain out of a molehill. We were literally throwing stones at this kid. Why? Because he was different, because he couldn't handle things. He would get really frustrated. He didn't know how to deal with assholes like myself at that time. There was a moment where we were doing choir in the gymnasium, and I made a comment like a lot of stupid little prepubescent assholes do, like, hey, is that a banana in your pocket? Or are you just happy to be standing next to so-and-so? He couldn't handle that, you know? He would slam his head down on the desk. I mean, the reactions that he had fueled me, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what this fucker does now. Let me just poke. Oh, there we go.
Right.
He lost it. That situation in the auditorium, he runs out of the auditorium and he goes to push open both doors to like bust out in clear fashion. One of those fucking doors was locked, and it spun him around like a top. Wham! On his gut. Out. Door tries to close. It doesn't, because it catches on his foot. And all of us are just staring at him like, what the fuck just happened? That's straight out of a movie. It couldn't have played out any better for me.
Right.
But years later, walking along a road, doing something that a lot of the entrepreneurs and successful people that I've talked to recently, the trend is have some quiet time, get centered, meditate, have no distractions going on around you. That type of environment was forced upon me in basic training, road marching.
And so that allowed you to work through what an asshole you were when you were in high school?
Yeah. When I got out of the military, I ran into that same kid. Now, of course, now he's in his mid-20s. And I saw him, and he was in a position. I was in my car. He was in a position where he was at the window at a McDonald's.
Okay.
Right? He was serving me, right? But it trapped us. It trapped us into this confrontation.
Trapped you.
Well, he had to deal with me.
Right, yeah.
And I had to deal with him.
Yeah. But
right?
I mean, definitely you being the aggressor, it really put you in a position of like having to face the person that you really bullied.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I just thought, fuck it. Hey, Ron, dude, I want you to know I'm really sorry. I've thought about it a lot, and it has bothered me a lot. All the shit that I did to you. And I just want you to know I think about it, and I'm really sorry for what I put you through.
What did he say?
Yeah.
Fuck you?
No.
That'd been great.
No.
You hit a door and you spin around, you asshole.
I actually, I don't remember exactly his response, but it was kind. It was accepting. It was, I mean, I'm sure, I guarantee you I took him off guard. I'm sure he didn't know what to fucking think.
Do you look the same?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, pretty much.
I mean, it wasn't until I shaved my head that I really kind of changed, right?
Do you think, so do you, I mean, we can always look back on things in hindsight and have a different view of it and rationalize things. And again, I'm going to go back to my therapist because she's helped me quite a bit. When I was telling her about a kilo of cocaine being on a dinner table in my house. And at the time, I knew it was wrong, right? That something was up. And then later on in my life, I remember coming home from school, being no food in the house. I remember climbing shelves, looking for like cans in the back of shelves kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's how I found out there was no Santa Claus, is because I climbed these shelves, and at the very top, I was in second grade, the very top of the shelf, in the very back was candy, and it was the kind of candy I got in my stocking. And so I was like, oh, no. And that was it.
Look, Santa Claus left me a little something.
That was it for Santa Claus right there. I remember eating mustard sandwiches, like just having bread and condiments and nothing else.
Yeah.
And when she said to me, she goes, now listen, I was talking about how I don't ever really see my parents as parents. It's always been like these people that I have in my life. I know they're my mom and my dad, and I care and love them, but I don't see them that way. She goes, well, you raised yourself. You didn't have anybody showing you how to act. And so you've had to learn that on your own, And she goes, I need to put you need to put a label to that. So you'll love that. And I said, what label? She's like, you were neglected. That is neglect. For somebody to come home and have no food, that's neglect. To have drugs like that in the house at that time period, that's neglect. Those things are not okay as a parent.
You know what? I think that's interesting that label of neglect got kind of thrown around loosely there.
With her?
If somebody's not there, it's neglect. If you're not being fed, it's neglect. If somebody's not paying attention to you, it's neglect. Right?
No. There are people pay attention to me.
What you were just saying, neglect fell into a couple of different categories. A couple of different examples, and neglect was used to say...
As a child, being around those things was not okay for your parents to do.
Okay. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, when I think of neglect, I think of my parents aren't paying attention to me. Okay?
Okay.
But in those examples, you had that, but you also had, I'm not being fed properly, neglect. Dangerous situation, I'm around, neglect. Right? All I'm saying is these are non-typical examples that I would look at or think of, but she's labeling that. She's putting neglect on those, which I thought was interesting because you told me about this earlier, and I, in my Matt brain,
I love it. Yeah.
started to think about, well, if that is neglect, if that truly is neglect, what about not dealing with your children's bullshit? Isn't that neglect? If a kid is acting like a fucking psychopath,
and you're
not checking that shit, we go back to checking assholes. Your kid's being an asshole, check them. Not dealing with that.
Sure.
Not shutting it down. Not stopping it immediately and saying, here are severe consequences to your bullshit. If you're not a parent, isn't that neglect?
I think it depends on your definition. You know why? Go ahead.
I'm just saying.
No, I don't think so.
I'm just saying because you threw out some examples
Right.
of my parents aren't paying attention to me, right? Not paying attention to a shit response from a kid. Like, I guess I'm just, hey, why don't we make better choices? Kid's freaking out. Okay, why don't you go sit in your room? And you walking away, you're neglecting the response that the kid is going through. Through my Matt brain, think because
I totally get what you're saying, and
because I bring this up because I haven't made a final decision on this. Like my opinions they're mobile, they're fluid, right? As soon as I get a new perspective, I may change my position on something. So this isn't rock solid, never moving opinion.
Your first kind of thought about it.
But what I wonder is, you bring up mustard sandwich.
Okay.
When you said mustard sandwich, I instantly went back to 1900s. I instantly went back to the Great Depression. I instantly went back to kids being raised in households not being parented by parents, where kids had to live in shit situations. Did any of those kids grow up to be great people?
I'm sure they did.
Did any of those kids walk around like they needed somebody to pave the way for them in the world and society? Or do we look back on that generation and we go, those were the toughest, hardest working motherfuckers we know that I can even think of generations ago. Now people walk around, you blow on them, you call them you don't say him, her, his, you, he, she, they fucking fall apart. They want to sue you. These kids, you talk about mustard sandwich, these kids had to kick a fucking can.
Right. I wasn't saying poor me in this situation. I was just kind of explaining things. And I think that the way someone deals with a kid or checks an asshole kid, right? Mm-hmm. And I've brought this up conversational-wise with my therapist too.
Right.
And so I thought about, I have a 10-year-old, and the lady's like, listen, his brain, it's like Denise Stapley-ish, just when I thought of it when she said it. His brain is not...
I love Denise Stapley.
His brain is not developed. There's no reason for a 10-year-old to come in here and do therapy about the divorce or whatever's happening because his brain is not there yet. Mm-hmm. And so...
Sure.
My 12-year-old, who is in therapy, and I do that with him as well as somebody else, I have, the checking thing. She is like, that doesn't produce a thinking person. It produces a reactionary person. And so, in other words, you need to help them. So let's say somebody's freaking out about whatever.
Right.
So you sit down and you say, you seem really upset, and you seem really anxious.
Right.
Because you're screaming and yelling and you're freaking out about A, B, and C. What are you worried? What are you thinking about? What are you worried about? Every single behavior comes from an emotion, period. Doesn't happen without it.
Sure.
So, are you anxious? Are you upset? Are you angry? I'm really angry. Awesome. They identified the emotion, and now their brain can start firing all those synapses, over time. It doesn't happen overnight. That, okay, I need to identify what's causing me problems. And then, now I understand this. Now I can realize that I can handle it this way. I don't have to get this fucking crazy and upset, Right. And is it the long fucking route to get there? Probably. But it isn't. Would it be easier for me to fucking check him and call on his bullshit?
It wouldn't be easier for you because you've never done that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But it would be easier.
No.
For me,
it wouldn't be because
I think it's totally easier for me to sit down and have to have a conversation with him is difficult. Instead of me saying, "Shut the fuck up, get your stuff done. You're doing this and be finished."
See that right there?
Yeah,
that is not easy for you because I know you. I've known you for over 20 plus years.
Okay, as a person, you mean?
Yeah, as a person, that is not easy for you.
Right, but it would be easier for me to do just in general.
Again, I'm going to be devil's advocate. Now, you can't in my lizard brain, which I think is actually the majority. I know they say the lizard brain, is supposed to be just this tiny portion. I think it's actually a larger portion in my head.
Maybe it's a larger
biologically
portion.
For some reason. But I think that you cannot have your cake and eat it too. I think that is a general rule in humanity. It's kind of like one of those things. You can't come out as a therapist. I don't think. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And I'll give you all the time in the world to convince me otherwise. and I mean the therapist. I mean the person who's actually saying this stuff. Try to convince me.
Okay.
But I don't think you can convince me that you can have your cake and eat it too. You cannot come out and say, listen, you can't expect a child to understand these things. Their brains aren't developed enough. You can't say that and then in the same fucking breath come back and say, now, what you have to do, because they can't understand that, is now negotiate with your child. Wait a second. You just said their brain isn't fucking developed.
Right.
So I can't possibly expect them to understand what they're doing.
Right.
But now their brain is developed enough to have a complex conversation to where I'm negotiating emotional states with a child who doesn't truly understand. Do you understand frustration? Well, you're a child whose brain isn't developed.
No, you're absolutely right.
You're saying that I can have my cake and I can eat it.
No, they're saying that their brain is not developed enough, and you do have to help them get their brain developed. So what you're doing is their brain is not developed yet. And she was saying that about my 10-year-old. I'm sure my 12-year-old's a little bit behind his brain development as well. But I'm just saying that you have to help him gain that.
Sure.
And so that's what she's saying. I'm not negotiating saying, oh, hey, we'll do this, or hey, we'll do that, or we'll pussyfoot around this. It's more of saying, what's upsetting you?
You're thinking I'm calling you a pussy.
No, I don't think that at all.
I'm not calling you a pussy.
No, I mean like being careful about how I talk to him and giving in and not addressing things.
I am more attacking this idea. The reason I bring all of this up, the reason why I brought up the back in the Great Depression
and tougher people.
And this idea is maybe a question that we should be asking ourselves, maybe something that we should be wondering about. It should be a splinter in our mind a little bit. We shouldn't just toss to the side. We should put maybe some validity in the idea that we are nurturing a society of pussies. We are giving an allowance. We are giving reasons why we should make things easier and nicer and softer. And this is the entire topic of conversation today when we talk about how somebody's going to be addressed, all this stuff. It isn't helping things. People are becoming more and more and more sensitive. And when people are more and more and more sensitive, and they are never trained, they're never trained on, okay, so you hear something horrible. I'm going to do the best thing I can to remove somebody saying something horrible to you. Are you going to be able to do that? No. Somebody's going to say it somewhere along the lines. It's not training for reality. The world is a much harsher place. We're not going to change the whole world. So unless you're teaching your kid how to deal with that stuff. Now, what you were saying about, all right, how are you feeling? I think that is right. I think you can help your kid learn. But when your kid is freaking out and they're in this moment, are they going to hear anything? Are they going to truly learn anything? Is that type of teaching environment, I could throw that on a scenario in my head where the dad and the son are out fishing. It's all nice and calm. And you guys are having a learning moment where dad's just kind of talking, and it's a very relaxed atmosphere. But when the situation happens where somebody has lost their fucking mind,
right?
That is not the time to negotiate, in my mind, because, again, cake and eating it too. Maybe, I can't expect the kid to understand this, but at the same time, why are you telling me that I can expect my kid to negotiate with me about how do you feel right now? You're upset. I can clearly tell you're pissed off, but stop that shit now. That type of behavior was so rarely seen, even when I was a kid. When I was a kid,
people pitching fits, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think the masses of adults my age or close to my age, which is around 41, 30s, and older, would definitely say shit like this. This would be a very common expression. Oh my God! If I would have done that when I was a child, there would have been a fucking C-clamp around my neck and done. My dad would have walked me out of the room and we would have had a conversation right then. And it wouldn't have been a conversation. It would have been, you're fucking up. Look at me right now. This is not happening. I will turn this fucking car around. Things like that. Why did parents do that? One, maybe they didn't have the tools to negotiate. Or maybe this is a tried and true method of your brain isn't. Maybe I agree with this part. Maybe their brains aren't developed enough. I agree with that. They're fucking young. I was really making stupid mistakes well into my 20s. Okay? So maybe my brain wasn't developed enough. Maybe I didn't have enough circumstances and examples and life experience under my belt until mid-20s. And I needed somebody to go, you saw it in movies, black and whites. You're hysterical, woman. Fucking you gotta snap somebody out of it, right? Can you negotiate with somebody who's lost their fucking mind?
Right.
You only have a few options at that point. You can either let somebody continue to lose their mind, and now that is the normal response. I'm allowed to lose my mind because it's socially acceptable. I can lose my fucking mind.
Allegedly,
nobody's gonna check me.
Allegedly, any kid who's in that state of mind, no matter what it is not going to hear or listen or understand what's happening. Right?
I guarantee you, from example, I have lost my mind before.
Okay.
And my father has stopped that behavior, that obnoxious screaming, yelling. I don't think I ever. So I started to step out of line, and he noticed it and snubbed it. Now, do I think that everybody should treat their kids like my father treated me. Not all of it. Not all of it.
I would hope not.
Right? But am I going around fucking people up? Am I a gigantic asshole to people as an adult? Am I somewhat well-rounded? Have I learned some stuff? Was there some uncomfortable situations growing up? Yes. I've dealt with a lot of that stuff. And if you bubble wrap the world, you're never saying to your kid, what my fear is, I'm sure like a lot of older people, I feel like I've fallen into this old person generation. I fear for our future because these fucking kids, right? I heard that when I was a kid from older people.
Right.
Our world is screwed when these kids come into play. But I am nervous. I really, truly am nervous about our society right now.
Because you think they've been pussified so badly? Is that really the ultimate reason why?
Again, that term is going to turn a lot of people off.
But
if you were to say, okay, but if I were to say we're bubble wrapping the world and everything inside that world to our kids, so much so that when they are faced with adversity, they haven't had these little micro engagements with adversity to build up this thicker skin, this shell, this I know how to deal with examples of shittiness. Okay, I'm strong enough. I have a strong enough will. I have a strong enough sense of it's all going to be okay. My world's not coming to an end. Mm-hmm. I've dealt with this before.
Couldn't that happen with helping a child get to the point where they're not throwing those fits? They can recognize within themselves, oh, this person's being a real asshole. I can feel myself getting really pissed off. I just need to walk away, or I need to say something to them because it's bothering me. Could they become a functioning adult that has the qualities you're talking about and do it a different way than being fucking checked when you get out of place, or the C-clamp being put on, or I'm turning this car around? Can it be done another way?
Could be. Yeah, I think there's gonna be those outliers, but I think I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm going off of my gut, my opinion on this show.
Out of your ass, yeah.
But 41 years of experience has shown me that the people, the spoiled, rotten brats, I'm talking like millionaire children who've never had adversity. They get whatever they want. Nobody ever checks them. Do you see a whole lot of those people growing up and being like, man, those are awesome people. Those are just really hardworking, developed human beings? Or are they assholes? Are they rich, snobby little fucks? Generally, rich, snobby little fucks who really don't have any grasp on reality. They just do whatever the fuck they want because nobody's ever checked their shit. Then you look at the mass majority of an older generation who had nothing but adverse situations, nothing but people checking their shit, nothing but you have to work hard, don't expect anything back. This is the world. Deal with it. Understand it. The mass majority of those people would say, yes, sir. No, sir. Hello. I have work ethic. I have to get up. I have to take care of my family. I'm not going to run out on my wife. I mean, you look at the trends. You look at society today versus the society. Now, of course, there was some fucking disgusting things that happened in society. There was bigotry and racism, and, marrying a black woman or a white woman marrying a black guy wasn't socially acceptable back in the 50s and earlier. So I'm all for that change. But for the majority of how people treated each other and how people interacted with their neighbors and how people interacted, period, things were better when we didn't coddle everybody.
Well,
that's my 41 years of experience.
I think we should just coddle everybody. Let's just give everybody a big hug.
But you know what? Relax. You joke like that. You say it in a mocking manner, but
I'm
you
serious.
Truly feel that way. You truly do feel
I think it's
that we should, if we're not primate enough, if we're not too primate, if we've evolved enough, we remove all obstacles. Mm-hmm. We do nothing but shower people with love and affection and no stress, and the world will be a better place. But in fact,
or if the aliens come down and removed all those things.
Right now, history, current events is showing us that mentality is not working.
It's becoming detrimental?
Yeah, it is becoming detrimental.
I do think that it's the easy way out to just scream and yell and get pissed at your kids. other than try to
if
help them.
you don't go that next step.
If you don't try to get them to understand why you want them to do the things they're doing, or understand what are they worried about. You have a kid who's pitching a fit, and you're just like, and you go, shut the fuck up, what's your problem? You just have to go to school today, not a big deal. Everybody does it all day long. Hundreds of kids do it everywhere. You're going to school. Stop. I don't want to hear any more about this. Go. And inside they were worried about a math test, or worried about something happening at school, and all this anxiety filled shit was happening. And that's why they were pitching the fit. Obviously, they didn't handle themselves the way you wanted them to as a parent. But all this shit was driving all that's happening. Mm-hmm. And so instead of dismissing it, not giving, not recognizing or helping them recognize the anxiety, you dismissed it and you said, fucking suck it up. Mm-hmm. They went to school and had to deal with that anxiety and that whatever happened. Mm-hmm. And you would see that as an adverse thing that they dealt with and learned how to get over, just in a big, broad, general term.
Right.
I feel it would take a little bit longer, maybe a lot longer, and maybe more episodes like that to get them to start realizing, okay, you're worried about a math. So what are you really worried about? What's wrong? I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Well, can you figure out why you're so upset and angry? I don't understand why. You go to school every day, so why is it happening right now? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have this math test and blah, blah, blah. And, okay, so you're really upset and worried about this math test. Why are you so worried about it? Well, I didn't understand this one part yesterday, and I had a hard time. I was like, okay, can we look at some of those problems right now so you feel better about it and you can go to school better? Or do you mean, so you help them recognize it? Now, listen.
I'm laughing because I have a scenario going in my head.
You have, that could be seen as the bubble wrapping of the child. But in my mind, I'm going, well, wait a second. If he or she is going to learn to understand how they feel about things and go, okay, yeah, it's just one test. Hopefully the next time I have a test, they plan better. Or they say, hey, Dad, tomorrow I have this going on. Remember I had those 2 problems that sucked and was hard? Can you go over this with me now so I don't have to do it in the morning or worry about it? Absolutely. So you get them to be these thinking people. Yeah. I don't think it has to be this adverse thing. It takes longer, but I think you're developing a stronger human being that down the road will be able to handle that diversity.
Yeah. You know what? Here you go. I'm going to flip your leg. I agree with you.
Ha! No, you don't.
Yes, I do. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. The situations that I'm talking about is fucking losing your mind. What I'm talking about is a child fucking hitting level 100.
Okay.
And as a parent, if you don't shut that shit down and say absolutely 100% never appropriate, boom, you're done. You're fucking done. Right now. As a dad,
then they can think.
Never. No, stop.
What's that thing?
Just wait.
Okay.
They've hit 100. How often does that fucking kid hit 100? Hopefully, rarely, if or never. But if they do, you shut the fuck down. Now, a kid getting up and having anxiety.
No, a kid going to 100 because of their anxiety.
But that's the problem. There is a lot of shit. There's a lot of things that should be happening before the kid hits 100. Oh. And I'm not saying my only reaction to every step of increased bad behavior is, I'm not saying every reaction is,
right.
Hey, you fucker. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when a kid loses his fucking mind, a parent has to check that shit. If a kid wakes up and they're being rude to you, or they're not listening, or you can clearly tell they have some anxiety, have a conversation for sure. That is your moment for teaching and to be a good parent and to walk that child through that anxiety.
Maybe that's what I missed. I missed all that in-between stuff.
Right, but that level of engagement also has to change with the level of, in my opinion, with the level of I've lost my fucking mind as a child. Your child has gone to 100. Your response to that action needs to be, I'm shutting it the fuck down. Likewise, if you had a 20-year-old person who was yelling, being aggressive on the street, as a police officer, you talk them down, right?
Right.
You have this bringing down of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. What is your response when the guy pulls out a gun? It's much more aggressive. as a police officer. Should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, as a parent, the kid is slowly losing his mind. You slowly deal with it. Very calmly. Let's have a conversation. Let me be here for you. The kid's lost it. You, as a parent, in my opinion, have to elevate your response. I'm sorry. Do you have something that you want to finalize on? Because we got to let it go because we have somebody here to do some recording.
Probably lost to say. But that's okay.
Are we going to have to come back for part 3?
Part 3? Should we have to do part 3?
We're going to have to do part 3 later on tonight.
I don't know if we can do part 3. I'm cool with that. I think we've had this conversation a couple times, and I think that it's evolved. Hate that word, but I think it has evolved a little bit.
Right.
But
I actually do want to do part 3 because there was something that happened with the guy from Fox News.
Okay.
That I wanted to touch on briefly.
I'll give you 5 minutes of my time later.
We'll do part 3 a little bit later.
Okay. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right.
Okay. You are on.
You're on
fire.
We're back. This is segment 3. This might be the most stretched out, segmented.
Stretched out and segmented is how I.
It feels like we just finished segment 2, though. I mean, the day has been so packed full of recordings.
Yeah.
I'm a little exhausted.
We'll wrap this up and go home and take a good nap.
Okay, but I think one of the things that we haven't touched on yet that I wanted to touch on was the Fox News guy. We were talking about the near fisticuffs that happened at the Republican National Convention between Alex Jones and Cenk from the Young Turks and Roger Ailes. I believe Roger Ailes was at the beginning of that video, or what I saw of that.
It's interesting that, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it's interesting to think that they didn't like the fact that the Young Turks were trying to be there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they had a spot for cameras and seats at the national convention, at the Republican convention.
I'm sorry. It was Alex Jones and Roger Stone. They interrupt the Young Turks at the Republican National Convention, and all shit hits the fan.
Wow.
You know. So, so that to me, we have created, and we shouldn't be surprised by this because we endorse this aggressiveness. You know, we endorse this aggressiveness through Trump. You know, we like the aggressiveness. There's a reason why Trump is where he's at right now, because there's so much of the population who's so fucking sick and tired of the establishment of where we're at. Trump walks up, and the reason he's at where he's at is because he has said the most outrageous, outlandish things, and he won't back down from that.
Right.
And people love that. All his supporters love the fact. They might not like what he said necessarily, but they love the fact that he's not backing down from any of it. Right? But when we have hitched our wagon to that horse, it should not surprise us in any way, shape, or form that riots and violence and divisiveness are so much of the culture right now. I mean, shit, you can't even go to a place like the the Republican National Convention and have
a conversation,
a debate. Somebody can't sit here on their own set and report on what they think is going on, and craziness happens. Isn't that a little shocking?
It is a little shocking because it's kind of the idea of you don't follow my ideas, and so you can't be here. Whereas I think the Young Turks, like anything, like any group that's out there that talks about things, even us, in a small way, is we change our points of view. If we see somebody say, "Hey, what about this?" we go, "Oh, I've never heard that point of view before. Where do you get your information from?" "Oh, wow, that makes sense. I can believe that, or I can give you there's some validity to what you're saying." You know, but to shut down ideas, you know, and the Young Turks are they definitely are probably a little bit more liberal and progressive, but they definitely have some libertarian kind of leanings, in my view, about the way they talk about certain things or their points of view about it, the idea of personal liberty and things like that. So I don't know. I'm just surprised that they were so concerned, that Alex Jones was so concerned. He has a real hard time with, I think, anybody else who's going to give him competition, which is surprising. That's what I saw when I saw that clip. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, man, this guy is worried that he's willing to walk onto somebody else's set. Because what would he do if somebody walked on his set? He would have an absolute fucking shit fit.
I suppose that would be a great way of saying it.
That's how I think about it.
Have a shit fit.
Yeah, if somebody were to walk into here and say, "Hey, you can't talk about that," I'd be, get the fuck out of here.
Now, I have to correct myself. I said Roger Ailes earlier was a part of that whole catastrophe, and he wasn't. But the reason why his name was in my head is because he is stepping down. Roger Ailes is stepping down from his position in the Fox Corporation, right? And why? What has Roger Ailes been accused of in the past? Do you know?
Lots.
Propaganda,
right-wing kind of conspiracies.
Well, that's kind
promoting all, the Republican-leaning.
Yeah, but what, like, specifically?
Station.
Do you know?
Oh, tapping phones, isn't that in Europe?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I mean, when we're talking specifics,
be specific.
Yeah, I'm not going to go after it with like a microscope, because I don't know specifically all the ins and outs. But this is why it's shocking to me. Do you know what this young lady's name is? Because she was on.
Yeah, she was on
a morning show on Fox
Morning, and
Fox and Friends.
Fox and Friends. Yeah, I want to say Megyn Kelly, but that's not her.
But that was the image that was when this story was talked about this morning.
She's the one that supposedly.
All I'm saying,
allegedly.
Well, we're not showing it on the video, so I'm just going to say it like this: when I was made aware of the story, when I was made aware of Roger Ailes having to step down from Fox and sexual harassment,
due to sexual harassment,
okay, harassment. What?
Ew.
That's why we do. Her photo came up. So nobody said, she's the one that ratted him out.
Oh, okay.
But her picture came up while they were referencing Roger Ailes stepping down.
And there's a lot. I mean, Megyn Kelly is a much more popular figure, pretty woman on Fox News.
That's not Megyn Kelly.
That's not Megyn Kelly. Nope. So I'm saying it can't just be some generic picture. I mean, it could be some generic picture that popped up, but if it's going off the popularity of Fox News commentators and talking heads, Megyn Kelly is probably the number one pretty blonde woman on there.
Now, honestly, yeah, Megyn Kelly. There's something about her features that tug at my primal instincts that I'm not going to talk about any more in depth than that.
Because you don't like talking about anything like that at all ever on these podcasts.
I'm very politically correct.
I was going to say, yeah.
That was my Ross Perot.
She's the bimbo.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what Trump called. That's who Trump called the bimbo.
Yep.
But really, there is kind of a risque photos of Megyn Kelly, and if one were to throw bimbo around, never mind.
Bimbo to me sounds like somebody who's not very smart. But
possibly.
And Megyn Kelly is a pretty smart woman. I may not follow her politically, but she's pretty well known for being a very smart person.
Really? Because I've also known her to say some really idiotic bullshit.
Well,
I don't usually tie those two things together.
Time.
You know what? Good point, Todd. Good point. I like to refer to myself. I like to think of myself as just 2 steps above clinically retarded. But every once in a while, there's a nugget of gold. Every once in a while, Matt says something that you should probably listen to. All right? Anyway, this is why I bring the whole fucking story up. I don't even really like talking about Fox News or Roger Ailes or any of this stuff. The only reason I bring this up is because out of all the shit
that he did,
I'm second guessing myself. Why do I keep thinking that I don't have the right name here?
Because there's different people. There's the guy who owns Fox News.
Okay, who owns Fox News?
Rupert Murdoch. Yeah. And Roger Ailes runs Fox News for Rupert Murdoch.
I want to make sure. Well, it says right here, Roger Ailes resigns as chairman and CEO of Fox News.
Okay, there you go. But so he guides all the commentary on Fox News. Yeah. He hires the people.
And he's stepping down as chairman because of a sexual harassment lawsuit.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, he wouldn't step down if it wasn't.
No, don't say that.
You don't think so?
No, come on.
If I didn't believe it, if I thought, hey, I didn't do this, I'm going to fight this. No.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you say, you know what? God damn it. This is the truth, and I'm not going to step down for nobody.
Unless he was asked to step down. That's what you're trying to say. So he was asked to step down because no matter what, it's tarnishing everything.
I mean, how often do you hear somebody say, listen, you can either resign or we can fire you? Well, I think I'll resign. Right. Well, you should have been fucking fired. Why are you quitting? Are you quitting because you choose to, or are you fucking quitting because you got caught pissing hot in a urine test?
Right.
You don't have a choice to resign, motherfucker. You should have on your employment as fired.
Right.
But I'm just saying that stuff happens.
Yeah.
So for us to look at Roger Ailes resigning and go, you know what? Maybe there's some truth. Maybe not. Maybe there's not. Maybe there's not truth to it.
Right.
But maybe there was pressure put on him. You know what? You should probably resign. You know, we're going to give you a little golden parachute. You're going to be set up. You're good.
Sure, he's just fine.
You're not going to be wanting for grocery money.
He'll be farting through silk for the rest of his life.
But the only reason I bring this up is because there are a lot of serious allegations that people have been presented with, like Rupert Murdoch. And Rupert Murdoch was the one responsible for the wiretapping, and that's really who I was kind of wanting.
Well, Rupert Murdoch hired him to run Fox News,
right? And I honestly don't know if Roger Ailes had anything to do with that type of corrupt stuff. But the reason why I bring it up is because out of anything that this guy could have got brought down for, it's sexual harassment. The power of sexual harassment, the power that women have to bring down anybody for sexual harassment. Now you're looking at me like, Matt, fuck, man, shouldn't they be able to? Is that what I'm picking up from your visuals? I mean, you're giving me kind of you're giving me this really weird look like, what?
I'm just waiting to finish your thought. That's all I'm thinking of. No, I think that if something is legitimate, people should be able to go to work every day and not have to worry about being hit on. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of the sexual harassment that took place. You know, if she enjoyed working in that office and every once in a while he'd come by and grab her ass, that's sexual harassment. He shouldn't be doing that. If he asked her out and she said, hey, thanks, I appreciate it, but I'm married or I don't date people at work or whatever, or he starts making her life miserable, I don't know the ins and outs of what it is. But the idea behind sexual harassment is that I can go to my workplace and I don't have to be looked at as somebody to be dated or fucked or whatever it is. That's how the whole idea of sexual harassment is supposed to work. And so that doesn't mean, now listen, I've gotten in, not trouble, but I've said to coworkers that are good friends of mine, hey, I really like that dress. It looks great on you. You know, as a, married guy, I was not instigating anything. I was just being a polite friend that I've worked with somebody for years. Now, could somebody have come to me and said, hey, so-and-so, or, could my boss come to me and said, hey, just want to let you know, so-and-so came to me and said, you told her that she had looked great in that dress today, and that made her uncomfortable. You can't do that, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, you got it. I'm not getting fired over complimenting somebody, right?
Sure.
So I don't know the ins and outs of this. I just know that in a workplace, it takes a while to get sexual harassment. You get in serious trouble if you've been doing something over and over again. It's not like one time somebody made a pass at somebody and they get fired for it.
Right. But let me read a little something so that people have a little bit a more concrete foundation to go with this whole Roger Ailes thing. Now, this is from The Guardian. Is The Guardian?
British magazine.
Is that all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right?
That's probably why they're covering it, because of Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch.
Okay. Well, you can Google Roger Ailes, and I'm sure you're going to have an easy time finding this story. But the headlines is Roger Ailes accused of harassment by at least 20 women,
wow.
attorney says. Okay?
That's a lot of people.
Now, more than 20 women have accused Fox News chairman Roger Ailes of sexual harassment in confidential conversations with the attorneys representing former Fox host Gretchen Carlson.
So Gretchen, that's your phone.
Gretchen.
Gretchen.
Oh, that was my phone?
Yeah, Gretchen is the picture of
That's
that woman.
not my fucking phone.
No, but whoever's phone, you and I are the only ones here. So it's your phone. I don't know where your phone is. Anywho.
Okay.
She is the one in that picture that you pulled up from Fox and Friends.
Yeah. Todd, could you be...
Is your iPad next to you?
What? Oh. I apologize. I was like, that doesn't sound like anything I have. Stupid technology. Excuse me, everybody, while I correct some bullshit.
So 20 people is a lot of people.
Yeah, the accusations have poured in at a steady clip by phone and email since Carlson filed an explosive sexual harassment lawsuit against Ailes 2 weeks ago. In her lawsuit, Carlson claims that Ailes propositioned her for sex and then fired her when she refused. According to her legal team, the new accusations range in time from Ailes' current tenure at Fox News all the way back to his role in the 60s as executive producer on The Mike Douglas Show. Okay.
So Michael Douglas show. Douglas talk show. Michael Douglas talk show. Gotcha. Okay. I know what that is. That's a long time
Almost
ago.
all of the 20-plus women claim they experienced Ailes harassment firsthand. Only a handful reached out as witnesses in a few cases, said spokesman John Garger. The accusations are as severe as those in Carlson's lawsuit. He declined to share more details. Okay, so listen. This is something that bothers me quite a bit.
Because somebody from so long ago can claim that something went wrong?
Oh, God.
Why?
Why?
What if I mean,
why?
Because the culture at the time.
If it was a fucking issue. Okay, here's the thing.
Here's a powerful man. He's my producer. He's over me. I can't do anything about it.
Fucking, I get it. But here's the thing. You want to be a witness? You know what? I'll be a character witness. He fucking did that to me in the 60s. But I can't fucking prove it, but I can be a character witness, right? Should I profit?
Oh, I want to be on the lawsuit, kind of?
If I don't have the balls, figuratively, to address it then, why do I have to wait? Dude,
unless he was the CEO of Fox News.
Listen, it was the 60s.
Wouldn't you be scared of somebody crushing you going, oh, you're going to bring one against me? I know I was just a meaty producer on the Michael Douglas show.
Okay.
Now I'm the CEO of Fox News, and I will crush your life.
Now I can crush you.
Yeah, bring it up.
56 years
No, I'm thinking
later.
of his point of view, of him saying to them, don't you ever bring this up, because you look at me. I'm rising up. I'm becoming bigger and more powerful. Anything you can't say is going to bounce off me and not matter until Megyn Kelly recently does
Megyn
that.
Kelly.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
So not
Gretchen Carlson.
Until she stood up, the people back then were just kind of like, this is what happens in the workplace. I guess I got to suck it up and suffer through this. It makes me want,
Thank you for bringing this point up, because that's a good segue to me. I hate having to be the devil's advocate in this scenario, but I will be in one point.
Okay.
Well, maybe a few more. In the 60s.
Right.
What was society like in the 60s? Maybe, possibly, I'm throwing this out there, it's going to be a very wide net that I'm going to paint the brush of women.
Okay.
But maybe almost all women will agree, motherfucking sexist back in the 60s. Maybe women's rights weren't necessarily the thing back in the 60s. Maybe the social norm back in the 60s was for a man to act that way, right? You can't even wrap your head around it.
In the 60s,
we're talking about the 60s.
In the 60s, it makes me think of burning bras and women rising up.
Starting to. Up to that point. And that was a phenomenon. That was a new thing. It wasn't like it was everywhere. I think of fucking Mad Men.
Sure.
Look at the journey. I mean, I realize that that's just a fucking show. It's all made up. But it does kind of show what stereotypically was happening throughout those decades
of
advertisement. That was just one industry, right? I don't really see television or entertainment being much different than the ad industry as far as men's views of women.
Okay.
Women's roles according to men.
But even the women in Mad Men had issues with the way those men treated them.
For sure.
Right?
I'm not saying that women never had issues.
Well,
I'm just saying, how were men back then, one, raised? What was the social norm for men? I hate defending this fucking guy because anybody associated with Fox News kind of bothers me. But especially now, if this story is true, hey, let's have sex. No? See ya. You're fired. I think that's total bullshit. I can't condone that or defend that. That, if true, is bullshit.
I wonder if part of it, though, is that were women put into a position like, I can't not fuck this guy. I can't not lose. I can't lose my job.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think
sure
that's the idea
women
behind it.
I'm sure older women, well, I don't know. I'm sure there are a lot of women who have been put in that position and have felt like they had to do that or else they would lose it. I'm not saying this isn't a big deal.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying it really bothers me that it takes so long for the world to change so much for somebody to go, oh, yes, what he did just now, that happened to me 65 years ago. Or no, 56 years ago. Whatever, right?
I hate math.
I hate math, too. I like being dumb. But yeah, 56 years ago. Really? I can't remember accurately what happened in my 20s. I really can't.
Well, I just wonder if it has to be, in my mind, it has to be fear-based. Why would I choose to sit on that information as this person rose through the ranks? I could have done it a long time ago, and why I would, there has to be a reason why I didn't do it. Is a fear of me having repercussions even 20 years, 30 years after the point? Why would she not step up? Is it because, if she has a legit lawsuit, why would she not step up and get the whole payment by herself?
Well, again, the whole sexual harassment thing wasn't even a legal idea back then.
Oh, really? When did it come to fruition?
Oh, I don't think that was even I don't even think that was a thing until like the 80s.
Sexual harassment was not a thing in the workplace?
I don't really even think that it was I think it was a joked about thing.
Know.
You know what? Ask Siri. Hey Siri, when was the first sexual harassment case? Ask Siri. Right. See what Siri says.
I don't know how to do Siri.
Your phone sucks.
No, I don't know how to do it. I don't want to do it.
Let me Google it. When was the first? Everybody's listening to this going, man, you're a shitty typer. Harassment case. Oh, there you go. Case filed. Boop, boop, ba-doo. 1976. 1976.
1976. So it really was not a thing back then.
It really wasn't kind of... Okay, so this
doesn't make it right or wrong, but it's interesting to know that
right.
it took so long for it to become a thing.
So I guess my thing is, I'm glad if this is a true event. I'm glad that this woman came forward and she's suing him, right? Nothing hurts worse than in the pocketbook. I think, honestly, unless it is a violent crime, I don't think you should go to jail, right?
Okay.
I was saying this to somebody the other day, like Bernie Madoff.
Make him suffer financially.
Yeah, like Bernie Madoff. He screwed over thousands of families' retirement funds, right?
Right.
Don't put him in jail. That doesn't help anybody. He screwed over.
Makes us spend more money.
Yeah. Liquidate everything he has. Liquidate everything his family has. Liquidate everything that anybody... if there was anybody who profited from Bernie's things, liquidate their stuff. If that were to become the norm, everyone would be so fucking scared shitless to do anything illegal financially.
Right.
There wouldn't be illegal financial shit because not only would I be financially fucked, but he would and she would and they would.
Well, I think that if that case came up in the 70s, that sexual harassment the first time was in the 70s.
76.
None of those women back to the 60s against Roger Ailes could really do anything about it. So they're probably doing exactly what you said, which is be character witnesses to show that there's not just this one incident, the most recent one, but that it goes back decades of this kind of behavior, which gives her a pretty incredible case, it seems like.
I'm trying to think of like the first sexual harassment case that really became kind of noticeable by me. I'm trying to think of when that was.
Mine was oh shoot. Who was the judge that was going to be a Supreme Court justice?
That's what I'm
and
thinking of.
was it an attorney or was it a paralegal that worked with him that she said he sexually harassed? Oh, Judge Thomas. Judge Thomas, the guy who never speaks in the Supreme Court justice. Yeah. Oh man, I wish I had her name right on the tip of my tongue. Judge Thomas, sexual harassment will bring up probably a litany of stuff. I'm sure everybody's loving the dead silence. I'm just going to keep making
Clarence. Anita Hill.
Anita Hill.
There
you go.
That was Anita Hill's. That was probably the first.
Was that the 80s or 90s?
I think 91.
91, okay.
On July 1st, 1991, President...
That's the most sensational one that I've ever heard. I'm sure I heard of one before that. Because I had sexual harassment training when I had jobs before 91. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's the most probably popular media thing that I'd seen.
35-year-old law professor Anita Hill sat in front of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee to testify about sexual harassment she said she had experienced while working for Clarence Thomas, who was waiting to be confirmed to the Supreme Court.
And he's really supposedly he's considered one of the worst. Do you know why? Oh,
I mean, I hate to say she's hot, but you deserved it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
It's just interesting. So, I remember the big discussion then was, so the guy made one mistake. Should that ruin his career? Should that do this? Should that? I think the bigger part that people bumped into was people really started ostracizing her. Why would you ruin this man? Why would you try to ruin this man's career off of one mistake with you? And you're gonna hold him accountable and not make him the first African American Supreme Court justice. That was the big controversy I remember back then was like, you're going to ruin this guy's career. So it was almost like the sexism was still kind of like lingering a little bit,
Yeah.
So, because, he was pushed right through. So.
Right. But what amazes me is not the fact that this is a law. I'm glad that it's a law. I'm glad somebody's getting sued. And, somebody should lose their job. They shouldn't be in a position of power. Right? I agree with all of that. What amazes me, is that out of any other law that could possibly get broken, the sexual harassment thing is the one that fucking unseats the throne. Is that right?
Any other kind of violation seems to pale in it, so to speak. Like,
I think
you can launder money, you can do all kinds of stuff, but that's the for sure. Even if you're accused of it, like right now, they're not in court. He has not been proven guilty. The simple accusation of sexual harassment, somebody's word against yours, right? You're
done.
Well, I think part of me wonders if it was just her. If it was just her who did file the accusation.
He said, she said type of thing.
Maybe it would have had a little bit more validity to not fire him right away. But if all of a sudden over the 2 weeks and she announced her suing him, people from all the way back to 1960 were like, yeah, it's been going on a long time. Maybe that was the thing. It was like, all right, dude, this is not an isolated incident. Sorry, you got to go. So I wonder if that's it, too. I don't think that just one person accusing somebody of something would ruin their career. I don't know, I'm assuming. But maybe it's all those people jumping on the bandwagon of he's been doing this for a long time. They're just like, okay, well, it's not just an isolated incident. It seems like a lot of people have this issue with you.
Right.
Maybe you need to step down.
I mean, I'm not saying that this is a knee-jerk reaction and somebody's losing... I'm not saying that something unreasonable is happening to him right now, but this kind of pulls me into an idea of teachers and sexual harassment. And if an allegation is put out there very easily, even by one or two people, that's it. Your career is fucked, right?
From what I've been told, like anything else with the teacher lobby and things like that, if you have to be able to really prove it, and you have to show, like I said before, if I was at a job and I asked somebody out on a date, or I somehow, I don't have the balls to go up to somebody and proposition for sex, but
I don't have the balls to sexually harass you.
But maybe,
dude, how ridiculous does that sound? I'm not manly enough.
I don't
have the balls to sexually harass somebody.
Yeah, I don't have the guts to do it. But maybe it's like one of those things where I think that most places you have warnings. Hey, listen, maybe you don't know this. Maybe, like you said earlier, you were raised differently than everybody else, and you don't understand this. But guess what? You can't ask somebody out for dinner, or you can't ask somebody out on a date. You can't tell somebody they look good in a skirt. You can't. I mean, we get those trainings anyways, so you're not supposed to do that. But if somebody didn't get the message, or they were sleeping or playing Pokemon Go when they were going through the training, then maybe they need to be reminded. And usually it's like a 3 warning kind of thing. This is the 3rd time I've had you in this office to talk to you about this. You're fired. Right. Or after this is your 3rd warning. The next time I have to fire you. So you either stop propositioning people at work, or you're going to lose your job. So I think there's still kind of, I think it's a bigger deal because he's almost a celebrity in the sense of he's a big wig. Mm-hmm. And so that it's a lot. He has a lot of the good and the bad impact Fox News quite a bit, and Rupert Murdoch for that matter. But I think that peon like me, if I would get fired, and it'd be done quietly, but it's after warnings of being, hey, you're not. Wake up and smell the toast burning, buddy. You can't keep doing this at work. Oh, this is just the way I am. Well, then you're not going to work here anymore. I think that would be the kind of the norm that you would get fired. I think you can get sued civilly by people, even if you get fired from a job. I bet somebody can say, he sexual harassed me and I want his money. But then you can still do that. Because I don't think she's looking for her job back, is she?
I have no idea.
Yeah. I doubt really she is looking for her job back. To work under him or work in that organization again.
The other thing that it makes me wonder about, not really wonder about, but something that should be brought up, and we should, I think, talk about it a little bit, is, do you think sexual harassment is sexual harassment?
Why do I feel like you're trying to trick me somehow? I have this feeling you want me to stumble over my own words. Is water really water?
Or is it really
oxygen?
Wet?
Is it oxygen and hydrogen? I don't know.
Okay.
Define, just give me a little more.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to get at. I have definitely been sexually harassed. Maybe.
Of course you have. Come on, you. Yes, exactly.
Maybe.
Angel.
Definitely when I was younger. What somebody would classify, if I was a lady and the person who was talking to me was a man, yes. Okay, I would have been sexually harassed.
At a job, kind of, or
no, in my neighborhood by a neighbor. Yes, at a job where somebody had a position
of power.
Well,
I wasn't sure if you were like, I was on the baseball field when I was 12, and Susie, Lulu came over and propositioned me for a date, and
the odd thing is that, like a lot of things, sexual harassment is evolving. So I don't really even know if you have to be in a position of power anymore. You could be inappropriate at work.
Yes. Well, that's what I was trying to say. You can be inappropriate at work, and that's just going to backfire on you. It's not. Now, yes, if the boss is doing it, that's a big deal, obviously. But it's almost the same deal as if the mail boy, every time he's delivering the mail to all the secretaries and all the thing, is inappropriate. That's sexual harassment. I wonder if it could be sexual harassment with anybody.
But when I say is sexual harassment,
I'm still waiting for that definition.
Women, if a lady, and I'm not trying to be anti-lady here, I'm just trying to bring up a fact. If a woman brings it up, let's really look into this. We really got to pay attention. If a guy brings it up, he's fucking ridiculed. He's laughed at. And people look at him like, really? You're really going to bring that up? Yeah. I really don't want her fucking talking about my ass every day. I want her to, but I really don't want her to.
Right.
And you know what? When I say that, it's goofy, But that is exactly what sexual harassment is.
Yeah.
This girl loves it when the office hunk is flirty as shit with her. But as soon as some fat fuck walks over and is doing the exact same flirty bullshit that's unwanted, harassment, inappropriate. Really? Let's be careful with what we're doing. Do you know, and this kind of takes us back to the beginning with, and I like to be circular.
Yeah.
With
Words and
dealing with uncomfortable situations. If somebody is doing something to you, you need to be able to have the skills and the verbal repertoire to say, listen, you're a nice person. I like you, right? I want to be able to work with you, but I don't like you saying this stuff to me because it makes me feel uncomfortable. Okay? You're 50. I know you might even be joking. To you, it could be funny, but for me, it just kind of makes me uncomfortable. So could you please not? Because I really just want to. I still want to have a good time working with you. I just don't want those types of comments coming out of your mouth towards me anymore. You need to be able to say that. You need to feel empowered enough to say stuff like that. And when you don't, when you can't, and how we've gone is, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
Why?
Hey, supervisor. This guy has been saying things. It really makes me uncomfortable. Well, why are you super uncomfortable now? Because you've been letting it happen to you for 6 months without you fucking saying anything.
Right.
Right? And it's finally gotten to a boiling point with you where you can't come to work anymore because it's become such a huge deal.
Right.
Okay, well, let's train people how to deal with uncomfortable situations.
Well, and I think now, if I remember right, the last sexual harassment training I had to go through, it's right away. That's one of the things they train you is do not wait. If something's bothering you and it's uncomfortable, tell somebody. Don't sit around and wait for it. You wonder?
But you know what? I disagree with it somewhat with what you just said.
Okay.
Don't tell somebody.
Well, I tell a supervisor. Tell a boss. Tell somebody up.
I really disagree with what you just said.
You want me to say it to them first?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that drives me the most fucking crazy is when somebody doesn't have the balls to act like an adult. We're all adults. If I'm doing something that is bothering you, I don't know it's bothering you until you tell me. Because I can't read your fucking mind, and you can't read my fucking mind. So if I'm doing something, I might think it's funny, I might think it's goofy, I might even think that you enjoy it. Maybe I don't give a fuck about you, but I think my buddy enjoys it. Or I think this lady over here enjoys it. Somebody is enjoying it, I think, or else I wouldn't do it. But until you tell me, until you just have a conversation, and I shouldn't have to say, come on, be a fucking adult. We should be training our kids. We shouldn't be training our kids to run to somebody to fix their problems. We should be training our kids to deal with the problem, which is, hey, this bothers me when you do this. I really want you to stop.
Mm-hmm. That's the last conversation I had with my 12-year-old. If somebody does something to you, you need to step up to for yourself and say, please stop doing that.
Really?
And if you ask them to stop doing that and they choose to not do that, grab an adult and say, hey, listen, this guy has called me a name. I don't know what's going on. Ask him to stop. He's not stopping. So take care of yourself, empower yourself, stand up for yourself. And then if that's not going to stop it, then ask somebody else.
That was the last conversation you had?
It's the last conversation I had about that issue.
Last conversation I had was like, hi, honey, I love you. Oh, Daddy's going to go to work now.
No, it was more of, that was the last conversation I had with him when I had to deal with kind of a, bullying / whatever issue.
Yeah, but that thing.
That process of stick up for yourself, take care of your business. If you can't do that,
that
then
really
do
has to go
else.
all the way up through wherever you're at as an adult, right, at any time. And it's a tricky situation, and sometimes it's so tricky, it's so messy that at times I almost like throw my hands up in the air and go, what the fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to make the work environment so fucking miserable? Because this is what happens. By safeguarding everything, the easiest thing to do is go, there's no swearing. We're not going to put up with any inappropriate comments at all. You think you're having fun? Everybody's laughing? No. Inappropriate. Not happening. So now we all stand around like fucking robots. and we can't act like adult human beings. We can't joke. We can't kid. We can't have a relaxing work environment. It's all fucking stressful. Everybody's walking on eggshells at all times because people can't have a conversation. That's what happens.
Swearing or
yeah, it might involve swearing, but you just. I used to work with a lady who she didn't like it when people swore, right? If I did swear and I knew she was there and I knew that it bothered her and it slipped out when she was behind me or something. Connie, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were there. I apologize. What's so hard about that?
Right.
Connie might have said, you know what, Matt, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But then I have that I can think of things like that. Other people that I work with dropping the F-bomb every other word, and there's a lady in there who's like my mother.
Right.
This sweet, beautiful, perfect lady. She's delicate. And it bothers me. It makes me uncomfortable anytime anybody says inappropriate things around her. She doesn't swear.
Right.
So somebody else is swearing left and right. I'm like, hey, dude, come on with the effing. We don't have to do that. Not right now. Come on.
So people need to be adults and self-regulate and be thoughtful of other people. And if we approach things that way, we would have a lot less of these like overreactions, just being concerned for other people's well-being, thoughts about things.
Yeah, I think so. Would you disagree?
No, I think that makes sense. And I think you could still have some of those policies in place where if somebody is just such a fucking knucklehead, they just don't get it, you can hold those people accountable. The hard part is, we've talked about this before, is if one person does it, you all suffer. Right, you guys are all screwed because one person is, complained or one person did something, you're all screwed. And that happens in most workplaces, I think. And it's one of those things that just they make it, everybody suffers for that one thing.
I just messed up the other day. I took full responsibility for it. And my actions, my screw up, everyone is getting addressed for it.
Oh.
Everything policies change. The way we're doing things change because I made a mistake. A human error. I made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes.
Sure.
I'm not making light of it, but I take responsibility for it.
Sure.
But I still feel like shit.
Because everybody else has to suffer.
Because everybody else has to hear it. Everybody has to hear this lecture, and everybody else is like, "Oh fuck, I didn't fuck up. Why am I hearing this?"
Right.
Because
you've been in the same. You've been in the same.
Yeah,
exact
I felt
position,
that way in the past.
Right. Yeah.
Has this been a really good or a really bad podcast? I can't decide if it's good or bad.
I don't think it's bad. It was just kind of like, or maybe I'm tired. We've been fucking here all day long. So maybe we're just both wiped out.
If you're watching the podcast, you might be able to say, you know what? You look a lot different than you did this morning. There's a lot more energy this morning. Or you might be like, no, dude, you look exactly the same, and just mentally you're fucking drained.
Exactly. I think I'm mentally drained.
Todd.
Yes.
What do you want to, is there anything you want to say? Promote?
I want to promote tpsmedia.co. Obviously, you can see it underneath Matt's lovely mug. But right there. Yeah. I can see it right there. And if you go to tpsmedia.co, you will see a nice little monkey head. It's our new branding logo / fella. I don't know what you'd call him. And logo. And so that's going to be our new thing. And if you click on shows, you can see all the podcasts that we produce. If you go to audiobooks, that page will eventually, not right away, will eventually take you to a litany of authors that if you're an author, a litany of voiceover actors. So if you are an author and you would like to have your audiobook produced by us, you can peruse all those people and check out what they offer. I've never heard a more diverse group of voices in my life. We've interviewed 40 people over the last 3 days as of today, and they all sound so different. It's just crazy. So there's lots of things to choose from. But you can follow us on, if you want to go to the Primal Scream underneath shows for that podcast, you can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, like us, follow us. There's also other podcasts on there as well. There is the Bandwagon Podcast. There's Wellraiser Radio. Sorry. There's CVO Gun Talk. There's Jackie Live. There's Money with Matt. There's lots of diversity in those podcasts, which I'm proud to be part of because I like being able to go to that page and going, what do I listen to today? All right, I'll listen to Ernie on CVO Gun Talk. Or, today, you know what? I want to laugh my ass off. I'll listen to Rock and Rob on the Bandwagon. So they're really trying to make it diverse. You have lots of things to choose from and lots of opportunities for people. So I think that's where I want to end my little spiel.
Can I tell you what's going on my end?
Yes, please.
You know what? That might just be the way I clear my throat from
more.
now on.
No, you just blew out people's brains.
I apologize. Yeah. Here's the thing. This is what you can look forward to on the Primal Scream Podcast. First off, Dr. Derek Marks is going to be coming on for part 2 of his explanation of health, fitness, and nutrition. He's going to be breaking down ketosis, ketones, things like that, what we need to be aware of, misconceptions, things like that. Can't wait. He actually moved from Australia, where we talked to him last time, and now he's in where?
San Diego.
So he's really moving away from the great white shark population.
Yes. Back to another great white shark population.
Okay, so he's not moving away from the great white shark population.
Smaller great white sharks?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
Not
sure, but he really likes the ocean.
Yeah, he was born and raised in San Diego.
All right, fine. So he's back in San Diego. So we're going to be talking to him in the upcoming weeks. We're also going to be having, and I told Todd about this, and he's very nervous about this.
I am?
Dr. Hannah.
You think I'm nervous because I think there's going to be something wrong with you? I'm going to lose my buddy? Is that what you think I'm nervous about?
When I brought this up to you, I said, listen, I did all these blood tests.
I thought it was great.
Dr. Hannah is going to come in.
Dr. Marks thought it was great.
She's going to reveal the results.
I just don't want her to come on the show and go, so Matt, you're fucked. Do you remember the beginning of The Martian? Same thing. You're fucked.
Yeah, but look how it turned out for him.
Just a life-harrowing travel journey.
He ended up with a job, didn't he? Working at NASA.
Yes. No, I'm not nervous about that. I'm just thinking ahead. I'm nervous about. I want to see what she says about you need to start doing this now, or I'm just curious about what she's going to come back with, because if you do it and there's ups and downs, positive and negatives, and now I'm gonna be like, I better do it too, and I don't want to do it.
So basically, what I did is I did a litany of blood tests, and those tests will be talking about my health, about food allergies, about hormone levels, about gut bacteria, just basically what's going on inside of Matt. So all those test results are going to be revealed. The process, we're going to talk about the process, the need for the process. What is this going to tell us? How do we need to change our lives? Why should you do it? How important is it for you? So that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, once Derek Marks said, "Oh, good for you. I'm glad you did that." That was another thing. I was going, "Oh God, now I have to do it too," because you can't do it without me doing it too. So it's like a Denise Stapley Battle Frog challenge. Go get stuck.
Anytime
Denise
urine
in your stool taken care of, and get your blood drawn because I did it. You have to do it too.
Yeah. The only thing I think I would turn Denise down for would probably be Escape from Alcatraz.
I wouldn't.
Other than that, I'm in.
I would totally do that again with her.
With her. Okay, well, that's it for tonight on the Primal Scream Podcast. Sorry it was kind of a downer. We talked about a lot of different things, but you know what? It's just conversations.
We've done a pretty good job of having good guests and conversations that have been pretty great, too. So we're okay to have political discussions always suck us down a horrible vacuum shredder.
Kind of. It's just things that you kind of need to be aware of, maybe, or to look at possibly in a different light while you're moving throughout your world, throughout your day. There was actually, I don't know if it was the end of segment 1 or the end of segment 2, when somebody had walked in while we were recording this. I think it was at the end of segment 1, but there was a mother who was waiting to have...
In our lobby,
listening to us talk about rape.
Mm-hmm. Not a fun subject.
You know what? I didn't know what she had heard, but she definitely heard an animated conversation.
Yeah.
And so when she came in and was while she was waiting for her son to do his voiceover recording audition, her and I got to have this conversation, and for just one split second, I thought maybe I shouldn't tell her what we were talking about. But then I thought, fuck it. Exactly. So we were talking about rape, and this is how I view rape. And I'm talking to this lady about it, and she doesn't know me.
Right.
And when we finished our conversation, she goes, you know what? And we talked more than just about rape. But she said, you know what? I really enjoyed that conversation. Thanks. It was just just sitting down with a stranger, having a healthy, somewhat pseudo debate about these are my thoughts on it. She could disagree with it. She could tell me a different view on it. And what's important in her eyes. Really, that's important in your eyes? This is how I kind of look at things. Yes, I've had some interaction with that. It was nice. I think more people should have that type of thing with perfect strangers.
With perfect strangers?
Why not? What breaks the ice better than talking about rape?
Oh, yeah.
That's a joke.
I could not agree more.
That's a joke.
For sure.
All right, well, that's it for tonight on the Primal Scream Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I am Todd.
And we'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.